In Colorado to try the gunman charged with murdering 10 people in a Boulder grocery store. He's using an insanity plea. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Who they believe saved the person. A cloudy sky, but a clear radar. 57 in downtown Indy. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 9:02. Someone in a car crashed in Speedway this morning.
There was a crash at the intersection of 16th and Polko that struck the traffic light and power line.
Lieutenant Jacob McAtee with the Speedway Police Department says it appears the driver had some kind of medical emergency, which caused them to crash and the car caught on fire, but other witnesses in the area stepped up to save the driver, says McAtee. A statue to memorialize the late Richard Lugar will be unveiled in a ceremony this morning at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in downtown Indianapolis at 10 o'clock. Lugar served in the Senate before he died and was the mayor of Indianapolis for 2 terms. The monument will eventually be moved to a permanent spot on Lugar Plaza outside the city-county building along the Indianapolis Cultural Trail. As for what the weather is doing...
we're going to stay pretty mild today, similar to yesterday with temperatures rising into the upper 70s.
Andrew White with the National Weather Service says some rain might fall later this week, and it will warm up slightly before cooling back down by the weekend. You may hear about a murder on the news, and you wonder what caused one person to take another person's life. Donnie Burgess reports.
Over half of the homicide cases cleared in Indianapolis this year started as arguments or have no clear motive at all. That's from the latest Indy Metro Police homicide report. The unknown motive is usually the result of a suspect or witness unwilling to talk about the case until trial. Fights, robberies, abuse, and recklessness are also listed as motives in the August report, although each is rare compared to the others. 92 homicides are still unsolved, say police. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
And the statewide average for gas today is $3.20 a gallon, says Gas Buddy. That is down 12 cents from this time last week, but it's $3.14 in Indianapolis, Carmel, Fishers, and Greenwood. And with traffic at 9:04, here's Matt Bear.
Crash 82nd at Hague, looking at westbound S70 into the north split, slow from rural, and we continue to slow down out to Meridian Penn. Northbound 6570 stop and go Michigan Street into the north split. Traffic sponsored by True Green. If you want a great looking lawn next spring, now is the perfect time to get started. And nobody makes it easier than True Green. Get 50% off one application with an annual plan. Visit truegreen.com today. Restrictions apply. I'm Matt Bear with traffic on the 5s. Follow us at WIBC Traffic.
The hot summer and the hot deals are coming at Tom Roush Lincoln. 0% for 60 months is back. Get 0% APR for 60 months on every new 2024 Lincoln Navigator. Plus get an additional $4,000 off MSRP. You can also take $3,000 off every new 2024 Lincoln Corsair 70 available. So get in here for one of those hot summer deals at Tom Roush Lincoln in Fishers.
For well-qualified buyers with approved credit. Not all buyers will qualify. Taxes and dealer fees extra. Stock number L24401. MSRP 107,425. Stock number L24284. MSRP is 43,435. See dealer for complete details.
Your American Standard Cooling Weather Center forecast.
Good morning on this Tuesday. Sunny, beautiful, very comfortable afternoon on the way. Today's high 78, partly cloudy, quiet, and crisp overnight, a low of 56. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey, 93 WIBC.
And I'm John Herrick on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. 9:05, Kendall and Casey starts now.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
What a wild weekend. What a wild weekend.
Yes.
So many things happen, Casey.
Yeah.
We've got to get to all of them today.
And we have a huge show today.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, coming up at 11 o'clock. This is the most wild interview we've ever done. So Brent Waltz, former Indiana State Senator, is going to be with us. He has a new book out called Prisoner of Washington about how he went to federal prison.
Yeah.
And this guy, for better or worse, he got no shame and there ain't nothing off the limits talking about. And this guy is going to go through how he went from Indiana State Senator to a federally incarcerated inmate. And it is so crazy. We're going to dedicate most of the 11 o'clock hour to it.
I can't wait for him to tell this story. It's just going to be awesome. You're definitely going to be here for it.
It's got everything, right? I mean, it's like he's a lawmaker. He's caught up in these basically kind of, corruption type allegations related to donations. He says, I didn't do it. He talks about feeling the weight of the federal government on, coming down on you and the horrible choice it is to. I don't know if anybody needs to hear that, by the way, Casey, that when the federal government decides that they're going to come down on you, you normally lose. And he's talking, he's going to talk about the decision he felt he had to make, even though he thinks he didn't do anything wrong. He's going to talk about what life is like inside a federal prison. So coming up 11 o'clock, we're going to dedicate most of the hour to that. But at first, Casey, in the lead up to that, it was a wild weekend. A lot of things going on, a lot of things happening. But I was blown away yesterday. I was yesterday years old, 40 years and 8 months old, when I learned, Casey, there's a water ferry that is bringing water at no charge to the good people of the greater Lebanon area.
Okay, so what do you do in that situation? Is that where you put a buffalo under your pillow, click your heels together 3 times, and then poof, water supplied?
Gosh darn it, Casey. God bless these politicians who just are so, I don't know if narcissistic is the right word. I don't know what the description is, but God bless these politicians, Casey, who can't stand any viable criticism whatsoever and have to repeatedly flap their gums on social media because they are the show content that just keeps giving and giving and giving and giving. And our winner this weekend was our old pal, longtime friend of the program, old mouthy Matt Gentry out there in Lebanon.
Well, the interesting part about this is the feud did not start with you.
It wasn't even, I just made some commentary. There was a feud. Right. You're right. There was a feud going on. I just happened to comment on the feud, and then he pivoted out of the feud he was in
and directed it to you. Yes. And you were, I guess, carnival barking is what you were called?
Well, so let's kind of reset here. So everybody will remember our old pal, mouthy Matt Gentry, the mayor of Lebanon, who, this guy, you wouldn't put him in charge of a lemonade stand if your kid's allowance depended on it. And somehow he's allowed to run an entire city. And of course, he is right in the middle of this complete disaster that is the Leap District, the brainchild and Treasure Island fantasy of Eric Holcomb, who will spend limitless amounts of our money, poor and middle class people's money, in order to facilitate this pie in the sky fantasy island attraction of some of the largest, most powerful corporations in the world. He found a willing participant in mouthy Matt Gentry, whose daddy just happens to be one of the most powerful Republicans in the entire state. And together, this axis of evil, or whatever we want to call it, has done just immense damage and pissed off a large portion of the city of Lebanon and central Indiana.
Well, it's really interesting because this whole thing started with Donald Rainwater putting out a tweet about property taxes.
Yeah, so this is where backpedal on this a little bit. So the LEAP project is currently on hold in large part because Einstein there running the city of Lebanon, mouthy Matt, admitted, they're not even to first base, right? It wasn't even, they're barely out of the batter's box, and he admitted publicly, ran out of water, so guess we're on hold. I mean, that's how horrific this guy is at planning, that you have this monstrosity of a project that you know is going to need endless supply of water, and before you're really even out of the batter's box, you go, didn't have enough water.
Right. You think that maybe that's the first thing you need to consider.
So when it comes to planning, old mouthy Matt running the Boone County boondoggle out there in Lebanon is the last person that should be talking about planning anything. But Rainwater puts out it's a totally innocent tweet, right? And we're supporting Braun, but Rainwater is an innocent victim in all this. He puts out this innocent tweet about his property tax plan, which involves, you pay a sales tax at the time and people can think it's good, they can think it's bad, whatever. And for some reason, and I have no idea why, old mouthy Matt,
he wanted to weigh in.
Just decides he's going to launch into Donald Rainwater about, I've put together budgets, I've done this, I've done that, this is the worst plan I've ever seen, blah, blah, blah. And I'm paraphrasing exactly what he said, but it's this like vicious, nasty thing. And I see this and I said, Mouthy Matt is the last person who should be talking to anybody about anything as it relates to planning, because you couldn't even get water right. So who are you to lecture anybody about planning and budgets and everything else?
Yeah, and so what? We're led to believe that it just randomly happened in his town that this project came. And he was defending himself, though.
So he's going at it with Rainwater. I point out there's a feud going on with Mouthy Matt and Rainwater. Point out Mouthy Matt is the last person who should be talking to anybody about planning anything.
And then he came after you.
And then he decided, because I guess the 9 times he's already tried this and it hasn't ended well for him wasn't enough. He needs to be taught another lesson. So he decided he wanted to do it again. And Casey, it just spiraled in to this just... I mean, the guy is ridiculous. You have read the thread. The guy is wholly ridiculous, where he starts talking about that they're going to pump all this water in, but it's not going to cost anybody anything. So I guess now there's a water ferry. The guy lives in a land of... He's either a pathological liar or living in a land of delusion if he believes water is going to magically show up and not cost anybody anything.
He said, since I was the person in the room, the first question I had for the governor and IEDC on 3/1/22 was about water. They assured me they would work with us to get more water to Lebanon.
So what he's saying is, basically what he comes to is,